All right, welcome everybody. Ahead of our development camp this weekend, we are joined by our Senior Director of Player Development, Dr. Hayley Wickenheiser. If you have a question for Hayley, please raise your hand. We'll begin with Todd Crocker with Leafs Nation Network. Todd, go ahead.
Hayley, I'm just wondering what are some of the changes and challenges the development team has faced in having to run the camp now as opposed to pre-summer?
Thanks, Todd. There's obviously been so many challenges that everyone has faced with COVID over the last year and a half. I think, every day you're really, things are changing. The evolution of protocols, of borders opening and closing, things like that are things that we've had to watch very closely. A lot of players that we haven't played hockey for a long time, with respective leagues being closed down and different shutdowns for the season. So from our perspective, it doesn't change a whole lot having it in June or having it now. I think for some of the players we would have liked to have seen in June, some of our NCAA players are not able to attend. They are with their respective clubs in the US. So less prospects and more free agents at camp, which is a bit of a different look than we've had in the past several years. So it's changed the flavor of what we are doing and the tone of our camp this year.
With some regards to your staff, new additions, familiar faces, how involved have you all been in over the past week in setting up this camp?
Well, this camp's been a work in progress for several months. We've got a great staff, the development staff we have. There's nine of us, as well as the Leafs front office staff, led by Leanne Henderson on operations side, who has done a phenomenal job to just the details involved, just getting players across the border, an extra layer of COVID testing protocols that it's just exhausting for all of the staff to go through to make sure every player is vaccinated and safe when they come into the building. So there's an extra layer sort of to everything that we have to do now, but our staff has worked quite closely to be in sync when we step on the ice, that the players come here and it kind of melts away and they're just playing hockey.
We'll go to Joshua Cloak with The Athletic. Go ahead, Joshua.
Hi, Hayley. Understanding that no two players are alike, but since you started in May, I'm just wondering if you could kind of identify some organizational pillars of development, things that you're really going to stress to players and things that you're really going to be looking for throughout this development camp.
Well, in this development camp, what we opted to do, rather than do a lot of teaching, we only have 3 practices and 2 scrimmages. So we've opted to create a competitive environment versus a teaching environment, if you will. But what we've done is we've introduced concepts into gamified drills, where we want to see how players can think the game, how their compete level is, what type of character they can demonstrate under difficult circumstances, and then their skill, ultimately their top end skill. So, those are sort of the 4 categories I think that we look for in a complete player. But within that, there's sort of micro categories of skills: the ability to get through the middle of the ice, the ability to skate with the puck, the ability to scan and track and make plays under pressure, that really, I think, separate the best players from the next level down as you go up within the system. So those are the things that we are trying to isolate and trying to get a read on with these players that we have in a very short time, over 4 to 5 days.
And again, understanding that you haven't seen him yet in development camp, but one player I'm kind of interested in, Mikhail Abramov, a player, highly skilled player coming from the Q, who will be auditioning for a job with the Marlies. What are you looking from him in particular this week?
Well, Mikhail had a really good season last year in the Q. He was the captain of the team. They won. I've talked to him a couple of times through the summer, and obviously I saw him very briefly today. And he's coming in after a really good offseason. I think he's feeling more confident in his own game. It's just going to be his ability to execute, I guess, at the next level. And what he had the opportunity to do back in the Q was to be a leader and to step up his game in both ends of the ice. And to play on the Marlies, that's essentially part of his game that he's going to have to bring day in and day out as a two-way game, and really be able to play both sides of the puck to be able to step into the American League.
Right, we'll go to David Alter with the Hockey News next. Go ahead, David.
Hi, Hayley. I'm just wondering what this experience has been like for you since the promotion back in May, and just what you've been dealing with all summer with your other projects and your job and stuff, to leading up to this undertaking coming up for the next few days.
Well, it's been great. I mean, the foundation was laid really well with Scott Pellerin and Stefan Robidaw, who both moved on. And so I worked with those guys for 3 years. And then to step in and have the staff that we do, Will Sibley and Daryl Belfry, and bring in Danielle Goyette, sort of be my right-hand winger, so to speak, to help with the daily logistics of everything, has enabled me to continue my work as a resident in medicine. And so I've been able to balance both. I currently am doing an emerge rotation at a downtown Toronto hospital. So I worked last night and the night before, and I'll have a few days off here for development camp. So just balancing both has gone smoothly, and the Leafs have been phenomenal in understanding that I have these two things simultaneously going on, but they both complement each other right now. And our staff is, they function quite well without me around. So it's a lot of work I can do from afar as well.
Next, we'll go to Kevin McGran with the Toronto Star. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, Hayley. The development camp, I guess COVID has interrupted so many lives and the development of these young players. It's even interrupted development camp for some of these young players. But still, each year, I know Scott Pellerin used to say that he'd watch a player, be a rookie in his first development camp. By the third or fourth, he was helping the coaches. Is that a realistic expectation for some of the guys that that are coming back, like say Nick Robertson or SDA? Some of those guys have been around for a few.
For sure. I mean, we have guys like Robertson and SDA who are here and have been to 3 or 4 development camps now. And, our message to them is that, you're not here to just participate and develop. You're here to step up and lead and show why you belong at the next level and work on your leadership skills. So within the group of players we have right now, we do have a chunk of players that kind of know the drill, and they've been around, and they don't necessarily, need to learn all the things that they learned in their first development camp, but they would be expected to step up and lead, especially going into the rookie tournament and into Traverse City, into the Marley camp, and then ultimately, or into the Leaf camp first, and then ultimately the Marley camp, if that's where they may land. So we do expect more from those players that have been around. And that's part of the reason why we've also shifted our focus in this camp to be a little bit more about compete and intensity than it is about slowing things down and teaching.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Kristen Shelton with TSN. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hey, Hayley, you just kind of touched on you sort of creating the camp, but how much of an influence did it have, the fact that a lot of these players maybe haven't been playing? I mean, did that influence how you decided to put the camp together based on maybe the lack of ice time some of these players have had?
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. For sure. I talked to Ty Voigt about a month and a half ago, and he told me that he hadn't played hockey in 18 months, being in Sarnia in the OHL. And, just thinking about some of these young guys that have not played hockey in over a year, that's a really tough thing, both mentally and physically. So we acknowledge that. We know that COVID has had a real impact, not only just on hockey, but on their lives. These are, families and people that have been, going through a lot of stress, and these guys are no different. So I think what we want to do is not hammer them early on, but we want to put them in a situation where they can relax into playing the game again and compete and demonstrate their skills. So a little less thinking, a little more playing and compete, and just see what they actually have as a hockey player in terms of their full package, so that we can make some decisions here that we have to make to move forward with rookie camp and then ultimately into the training camps.
And I just wonder, obviously since you've been with the organization a few years, these aren't all completely new prospects to you, but since taking over the role, have you spoken more via phone or text or however, have you communicated more with these prospects leading into the camp?
Yeah, our goal is to have multiple touches with the players. So we're in contact with every prospect about every 2 weeks. Right now in the summertime, we've spent several video sessions, Ty Voigt, Matthew Nye, some of our new draft picks, going through clips with them. That's essentially what myself and Danielle Goyette are doing alongside Will Sibley through the season. So I'd like to increase the amount of touches and contact we have with the players in multiple different forms, and make sure that we're sort of staying closely tracking how they're progressing through the season so we can identify areas of their game that we maybe can help them with as they go forward.
All right, we've got 4 more hands up here. We'll go to Mark Masters with TSN next. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, hi. What stands out to you the most about the way Nick Robertson approaches his development?
Well, thanks, Mark. Nick is he's special in the sense of his intensity and the willingness to want to be perfect and great in every aspect of his life. I think actually for Nick, one of the secrets for him might be to dial it back at times a little bit and to just relax more into who he is as a person and as a player. But his approach and really his growth over the past season, being with the Marlies, stepping out of junior into the American League, I think he himself saw that the hockey was a lot better than he anticipated. And some of the things you can do in junior, you can't get away with at the next level. And so while he has a full package of skill, I think for Nick, the next step for him is going to be able to implement it on pressure situations and play within the game in the context of having 4 other very good players on the ice with him. So a lot of what we spend our time talking about is we're working on the raw skills of skating and shooting, but also I talk a lot with him about easy speed. Let the game, come to you, don't force it, and just really grow into who he is as a person, as a player is going to help him, I think, be more effective.
Thank you.
All right, 2 more. We'll go to Luke Fox with Sportsnet next. Go ahead, Luke. Luke, I think you're on mute.
My apologies. Sorry, Hayley. What are your impressions of Semyon Durargachintsev, and what do you think him getting some time overseas did for his game, and what kind of challenge do you think he faces in trying to break through to the NHL?
Well, SDA is a pretty lovable, easygoing guy. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always sort of a happy-go-lucky player. I think he's got really good top end skill as a playmaker. We've tried to encourage him to think a shot first mentality a bit more. And off the ice, quite frankly, he's got to get stronger, more powerful, more physical. He does tell me he's put on some weight over the summer, although I haven't seen that yet. But I'm looking for him to be a bit more of a physical presence and be a more impactful player outside of just playmaking. The skating for him is always a challenge too, to get to skate at that next level. But he is an intelligent playmaker, and if he's playing with good players, he can make a lot of things happen. The question is, when he's not, he's dropped down the lineup, could he be an influence? And those are the things that we're talking to him about, and looking forward to seeing how he's done. I think being overseas, playing with the good Russian talent, it's similar. They're very high skilled, good players, but the ability to come into the NHL game where there's a lot closer checking, a tighter game is still a whole other level for him that he's going to have to understand to elevate his game.
Thanks a lot.
All right, last one here. We'll go back to Joshua Cloak with The Athletic. Go ahead, Joshua.
Hayley, I thought Philip Krull did a really good job last year adapting. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha now.
I thought he did a really good job adapting to the North American rink. But what does he need to do in this camp and this season to kind of solidify that top 4 role with the Marlies?
Yeah, I agree. I think Philip had a really good season in his previous season in junior. He really stepped up to another level. I think for Philip, a lot of it is skating and confidence with the puck for him to continue to want to be an impactful, purposeful player with the puck, to drive the play, to possess the puck on the power play, to be able to make effective reads and create things. And then defensively, the ability to be more physical, to separate off the puck and to get the puck up the ice. So, we've talked a lot with Philip. He went back to the Czech Republic this summer. The off-ice conditioning piece would be a big piece for him, and to come in and to be able to dominate physically and make an impact every time he's on the ice to solidify himself in a top 4 role.
And just last one for me, what intrigues you the most about Pavel Gogolev?
Well, Pavel is he's an interesting player. He's very talented. He's got a nice offensive upside. He can make something out of nothing for sure. I suppose he's a bit of an electric player when I think about watching him in practice. He can have the ability to make other players better around him. I think his skating is a question mark still in the American League on a day-to-day basis, but certainly he had a bit of an impact last year when he came in, and he's an exciting player offensively to watch. So it'll be interesting to see in a full season how he'll adapt, but he has no doubt the top-end skill to be an impactful player.